How many times do we have to do this? How many rounds? How many repetitions? How many sets? These are the questions I get all the time when I'm coaching. And perhaps you're questioning it yourself. How many times should you do something in order for it to be effective when you train? I'm Eric Snell, the author of the Fit Businessman book, and today I'm going to answer the question, how many sets should you do if you do an anaerobic exercise? Meaning that you're not using air. It's not like you're, running 1 kilometer. So, of course, we're all individuals. We have different needs, different backgrounds, and perhaps, we don't have the endurance to perform as many sets as everyone else. But still, I will give you a number because no one gives you a number, right? And I think it's good to have a number so you have something to aim for, a little bit of a framework. So when you go out now, the gyms are closed, and you go out and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do a push day, a pull day, and a leg day, and I'm going to train outdoors. So you find some rudimentary equipment, and you're going to have to do your exercise. Let's say you have your push day. Well, you come up with a couple of exercises, pushing movements such as, some kind of push-up and shoulder press. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to do around 10 repetitions, but how many sets of these should I do? What is recommended, and how many do you really have to do to get some kind of results? Well, I'll tell you, the number I suggest is 20. Yes, 20. It's plenty, I'm telling you. 20, with 20 sets, you can really destroy any muscle group you want. And I think this goes for any type of exercise, as long as it's anaerobic. So if you take an example, your push day, if you just do push-ups, then if you do 20 sets, meaning that it's sort of 10 times 10, a longer break, and then 10 times 10, that's 20, right? Or if you're doing hurdle jumps, you're going to jump over 5 hurdles. It's not that far. I would still call that an anaerobic exercise, right? You do it 20 times, and you're done. Now, of course, this is difficult to do when you don't have a huge variation in your exercises. And this is sort of the challenge, when we compare this to the normal times where we have a nice facility or you got a nice gym with different equipment, different areas you can work out in. So there's so many opportunities and different variations you can do for one muscle group that you can even just do once every leg machine in the gym and you get up to 20 really quick. But if you're outdoors now, you're stuck with that pull-up bar and you're thinking, okay, I guess I gotta do my pull day here outdoors and I'm gonna do those damn pull-ups. Well, I suggest you do it 20 times. And I'm not talking about 20 repetitions, I'm talking about 20 sets. So whether you do 5 or you do 12, you do those, you rest, you do it again, and you do it again until you got 20. Now, here comes the mind game. How can you convince yourself to stick around and do 20 times the same damn exercise? Well, there's different things you can do. One thing I like to do, and this is something I already told you on the Outdoor Edition film that's actually available on Amazon Prime for free. For everyone in the UK and US, you can check that out. It's completely free. There I mentioned how I usually do it when I do shorter sprints, and I have to do multiple shorter sprints because, I can't think of anything more simple, especially when it comes to sports. You're just going to run, stop, you're going to run and stop. if you play basketball or you play tennis, there's some kind of element there of a game, right? But if you're going to do something quite simple as just running, what I like to do is use, for instance, a soccer field, because it's also a very soft surface. But then, you run on one side, you walk, and you run, and you walk, and you form a sort of a rectangle. And that way, you're actually doing, 10 rounds instead of doing 20 straight runs. And this is a huge difference for your mind. And the same way, I know a lot of people like to keep score. So just by doing an exercise and then, marking it on the sand with lines, like, okay, like 2 down, and then next one, and then, okay, you got 3 down. That way, it's much easier, so you don't have to think all the time, okay, how many do I have left? How many do I have left? And then even risk miscalculating how many repetitions and sets that you have left. So that's 2 things you can do. Another thing you can do is to use a stopwatch. And here, of course, the stopwatch, you can do it in different ways. One way is to time your rest periods, or you can just let it run so you can see by time, like, okay, I'll start every minute on the minute, I'm going to do my thing. I think that's a really nice way of working out, actually, especially if you're alone and you want to go through some exercises. You can decide, okay, each even minute I'm going to do this, every odd minute I'm going to do that. And that way you can get the time going. You don't have to be too concerned about counting. You just start at even numbers, for instance. But another way to use the watch is to actually time yourself. So and this works great with a lot of athletes, especially young athletes, that if you can tell them the time they ran the sprint and they get that number, they want to try it again. And it's amazing when you start to score, you want to try again, you want to beat it. So, without noticing, you will easily do a lot of repetitions. And even with the camera, you can do that you do your repetitions and then, like, okay, I want to film myself. So you film it so you can analyze, okay, how did I go? How did it go? What did I do wrong? And then you watch it and, like, okay, I'm going to try to improve this. And suddenly you don't count anymore the repetitions, but you just do it, you check, then okay. And I think if you can mix in stuff like this, it's going to be much easier to do those 20 sets. So, if you go out now, you train alone, and you come up to that pull-up bar, I hope you got some creative variations, how you can place your arms, and think of maybe you should have a stopwatch with you, and you start every second minute, you start to do pull-ups. Maybe that could work. Maybe you mark it in the sand. Maybe you do one pull-up facing one side, then a pull-up facing the other side. Try to be creative. Maybe some pull-ups you put a medicine ball between your legs so you have a little bit more resistance. Maybe on some pull-ups you just jump up and you go down. So you just do the eccentric portion. So have fun with it and try out the 20 sets rule. I think it feels good to have a certain rule. You don't have to live by it, but at least and you can think that, okay, I've done enough. And that's all it takes, really. I'm Eric Snell, the author of the Fit Businessman book, and I'll see you at work.